Hi guys, this is Vixxstarr and today I'm going to show you how I made these super cute micro ice creams. So one is supposed to kind of look like a waffle cone and the other one is just your standard straight ice cream cone. So I've made so many of these little designs that I'm not happy with. All different shapes, roughly the same size. But today I'm going to show you how I made these two. So these are the same design, just slightly different. With this one, the cone I actually have to remove and flip it upside down. This one I don't. So I'm going to show you how I made both of these. I'm going to do them at the same time on one loom, and then you can see the difference and you can decide how you want to do it, or you can follow along. You can make two as well. And I'll also show you that I was experimenting with, trying to do your double scoops. You can experiment with double banding and single banding with these ice creams, both the same. I've just added a cherry to that one. I've double banded and then I've single banded and then I've double banded again, so you can see how it's given it that different kind of shape there. Still not completely happy with these cones, but this is the easiest design that I've come up with and I think they look like micro ice creams, so I hope you do too. And yeah, choose your colours, choose a cone colour and ice cream colour. And so I have calculated with these ones the band count. You need roughly 40 of your cone colour and the same for the ice cream colour. If you decide to do more different banding, double banding, more ice cream, you will need more bands obviously. And you shouldn't need any more than 100 bands. So get your loom, your hook and your bands and let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing twice for the cones. So starting with, I'm just going to use Neon Orange in the Rainbow Loom brand. And just starting with a single banded starburst. So for my first one, I'm going to start here. Just start from one peg in, just single bands, and laying your starburst from the center out to those 6 pegs. So for that cap band, single band doubled in my fingers and then around your peg once, twice. So it should be around there 4 times. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing again, just laying out a starburst for my second ice cream. Pushing those bands down in the center, single band doubled in my fingers, and then onto the peg and around it twice. So now we are going to loom those starbursts in behind that cap band, grabbing the top band and just bringing it back onto itself. Grabbing the next band down, just bringing it back onto itself. Next band. It's always starting from your top band. My young fella getting excited with his cut. So there we go. So loom up your starburst like so. I'm going to go on and loom up my other one as well. So I've just got 2 starbursts, exactly the same. Like so. Push all of your bands down. Now we are just going to do a single row around the outside So drop a band on one peg, and then from that band, single bands around the outside of that starburst. When you get to the second last one, grab that band you dropped and bring it up onto the peg. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on my other starburst. So dropping a band and then single bands around. Grabbing that band and bringing it back up. So that's what you should have. Sorry guys, my young fella's screaming at the television. So that's what you should have. Now we're just going to loom that bottom row, which is the starburst, from the outside straight up and over those top two that we just put down around. So the starburst up and over, all the way around, grabbing those two bottom bands, up and over and into the center. Sorry, I'll move my shadow out of the way. So that's one done. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Top starburst up and over and into the center. So push all your bands down. Now we are just going to lay another single row. So dropping a band and then single band from that peg to the next, all the way around. Till you get to that second last peg. Grab that band that you dropped and bring it up. I'll do the same thing again on my next one, dropping a band. And then grabbing that band. So, same thing again, bottom row of bands, straight up and over and into the center, all the way around. From the outside, just those two bottom bands, that bottom row, straight up and over into the middle. And do the same thing again with my other one. Making sure you don't lose any of your top bands. Now push your design down so that row becomes your bottom row. We're going to do one more round of that cone colour exactly the same way. So dropping a band and then from that peg to the next, single bands all the way around. Picking up that last band and popping it on. I'm going to do the same thing again. So this should be our third row that we're doing of just those single bands, the cone colour. Grabbing that last band up and doing the same thing again, looming that whole bottom row, those two bands on the bottom, up and over and into the center. All the way around. And I'll do the same thing again on my bottom. And that is our cone done. The top one is going to be this one, which I think looks more like a waffle cone. It's going to look like that. The bottom one here, we're going to make it look like, see how it's got all of those V's, more like a proper cone kind of, I guess. Not really, but a little bit. So you can see the difference there. So this one's a little bit trickier. You may have trouble doing this, so just take it easy, go slow. That's why I've done two options, so you can do the top one. If you find that you try and do both and this one doesn't work for you, at least you've still got that one to do. So I'm just warning you, take it slow with your hook. Now you may want to grab a second hook. I might just initially use this cheap hook I've got. I'm going to go in these top three. We're going to take off, so I'm going to grab those bands on there. The next ones I'm going to grab on there as well, and the next ones. So now I've got what was on those hooks, what was on those pegs on my hook, and I'm going to do the same thing down here with my hook. I'm going to grab that one, and then I'm going to grab that one, and then I'm going to grab that one. So you've got them all there on your two hooks. Pull it off the middle. That's what we've got. Okay, so you've got that now on both of your hooks, holding it upside down so that that point is facing up. We are going to replace these bands onto the board in a starburst. So the first one here, grab the bands at the back, holding onto that front one, place it onto the peg, and then holding it, release it off your hook. Next one's going to go there. So grabbing, still holding onto those on that peg so you don't lose them. Grabbing the next bands, placing them up onto that peg, and releasing it off the hook. Got one more. Those back bands to the back and onto that peg. So like I said, this is very tricky, so just be very careful not to lose any of your bands. Grabbing those ones, slipping them straight on. The next two onto that next peg. Releasing the hook. And the last two onto that last peg. And that's what you should have. Now if you're finding that your bands are twisted incorrectly around there, means that you have twisted them and put them on the wrong way around. You might just need to grab them off the peg, turn them over and put them back on. But that's what it should look like if you're doing it that way, and the other one of course is still the same. So we're going to go on with our ice cream now. So I've decided that so that's that one in there, and that will be that one there. For this one I'm going to use just a cheap Loom band alternative. It's a pale pink, so it kind of looks like a creamy pale strawberry colour or vanilla-y or something like that. And then for this one I am going to use just the Glow White from Rainbow Loom. Sorry, my fingers are all cracked at the moment from looming and working and such. So starting with your ice cream colour, we are going to double band, drop 2 bands on one of your pegs, and then going with 2 single bands from that peg to the next, 2 single bands, making sure that your bottom row of your cone is pushed right down so it's easier to see those, they're not getting mixed. And we're just doing double bands around, sorry guys, around our starburst, flicking things everywhere, picking up those last 2, popping them up. I'm going to do the same thing again on this one, but I'm going to do it with the white. So dropping 2 and then double banding all the way around. And then what we will be doing is bringing our bottom row of our cone straight up and over the outside into the center. So grabbing my last 2, popping them up there. Then grabbing our bottom row of our cone and bringing it up and over into the center. You can go around and do that if you like. Then I also want you to grab the bottom row of your ice cream and bring it up. So you'll notice it's always coming from one side when you bring that up and over, you can see it's grabbed those other bands there too. So the orange row on the bottom, and then the bottom row of your ice cream. Orange row of the bottom, and the bottom row of the ice cream. All the way around. And I am going to do the same thing on my other ice cream. Oop, making sure you don't lose any of your bands off the top. Huh, there we go. Push that all down. So I'm going to do the exact same thing to my bottom one, but I might just go around and do the whole bottom row of the cone. It's a little bit quicker. And then I will do the whole bottom row of that ice cream, because I know it's always coming bleeding from one side. Makes it a little bit easier. That should be it. So now on with our next row. We're going to do the same thing again. Let me double check. If we're going to do it the same as what I did in these ones, like I said, you can do double bands, single bands, whatever. It will make your ice cream different. You can, you know, just play around with that. But for this one, I'm going to go, this second row is going to be single bands. So sorry, single bands. So dropping one band and then a single row all the way around. Oh, I've made so many of these ice creams, like I said. I start mixing myself up when I make too many of one thing. So that's one row of single. I'm going to do the same thing on my next one. I'm just going to drop a band and go a row of single. Now make sure all of your bottom row bands are pushed down so we don't get them mixed up. Single, 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 and then grabbing that last band and bringing it back up onto there. So now again, just working our bottom row straight up and over and into the center, all the way around. Like so, and then once again we are going to grab that bottom band from the top row. Like I said, it's always coming from one side and it will be catching that other band there too. So you will just be left with one band on your peg. Okay, pushing them all down. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. My other one, bringing the bottom row and that bottom singular band up and over in the center. Oop, wrong one. So if that happens, bring that bottom row back up and over, replace that band and try again. That's better. Alright, so for me, I'm going to make this the last row and then we'll end it off. You can keep going and make your ice cream as high as you like, but once again, two single bands dropping on a peg and then two single bands all the way around. Alrighty, and then picking up those last two bands. I'm going to do the same thing on my bottom one, dropping two and two single bands. I just like the way that this makes the ice cream look lumpy when you're vary between double and single, but also kind of gives it that swirl look. So it could be like ice cream scoops, or it could be a soft serve if you like. It's up to you. And those last two bands up there. Once again, bringing that whole bottom row, this will just be a single band up and over, and then grabbing the two bottom bands from the top row up and over as well. So single bottom band and then two bottom bands from the next row. Single bottom and then two bottom, single bottom, two bottom bands, all the way around. And I will be doing the exact same thing on my other one. Way around. This one there. Then I want you to push all your bands down. So I'm just getting my last one. Pushing all of your bands down so that you don't lose any. Now, for this top one, I used double bands to close it off, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'll use double bands and then I'll show you how to put the little cherry on top. So that's that one there. For the bottom one, I actually used single bands to close it off, so I will show you the difference there and do the same thing. So on the top one, using double bands to close it off, you will just grab two single bands in your fingers, and with your hook grab two lots of bands off their pegs onto the hook, grabbing those two single bands, feed them through those bands on your hook and then reclaim. Moving on to the next, you're going to grab the next two off their pegs and onto your hook like so, making sure you don't lose these last two. Two single bands, feeding them through all the bands on your hook, reclaiming it, and the last two off their pegs and onto your hook. Grab your whole design off. That's what it should look like. This one, there's a little hole in the back here where you can see your design. Push your bands up onto your hook, grab your fingers in that hole and turn it inside out. So flip, grab that bottom circle in your nails, pull it nice and tight so you're pulling all those bands like so. Find on your hook, get those bands back down. There's that hole there. The double bands that we used to feed it off, you want to find those first two and just go through. So you've got them all there. Grab two more single bands, feed it through everything off your hook. Feed it through all of those bands off your hook. Reclaim it, and then grab a single band and slip knot. So single band through those, slip knotted. There is our first ice cream. Yes, that is what it looks like for now. We're just going to leave it for a second. I'm going to finish this one off. So, pardon me, single bands, doing the exact same thing. Grabbing the first two off their pegs and onto the hook. Grab a single band, feed it through those and reclaim. Grabbing the next two off their pegs and onto your hook. Single band through all of those off your hook and reclaim. The last two off their pegs onto your hook, pull it off, Same thing again, push all your bands up, find the hole in the back and flip it inside out. Da-da! Then we're going to find those first 2 single bands at the start, right there. Grab a single band, go through all of those on your hook, reclaim, and you can either slip knot that or you can grab another band and slip knot it like so. So this is what we have so far. Now for the first one, which is this one, just want you to pull on the bottom of the cone to try and make it as much of a waffly cone shape as you can. This bottom row of the colour, we're going to pull them all out because we want it to look like it's the ice cream hanging over the cone. So pressing your design in your fingers, just follow it around and pull on that first row. Then do the exact same thing with the second row, that single row of those little teardrops around there, and then the same on the top. So now you can actually grab it in your fingers, pull the whole thing out a bit. I am going to put a cherry on the top of this one, so that's what it should look like so far. I'm going to put a cherry on top, so I'm just going to grab a red band from somewhere. Give me a moment. Okay, I've got a fuchsia band and I'm just going to wrap it around my hook 4 times. So I'm going to go around once, then I'm going to grab those 2 and go around again. So I've doubled it and I've doubled it again. I'm going to grab my ice cream and that end string there. I'm going to get that cherry onto that end band, the whole thing. And feed it down, push it all the way down to where it has slip knotted. Try and push it onto that end band that it's joined to. And then going up through the bottom of your ice cream or anywhere off to the side, come up through the top and grab, and grab that singular band and pull it through. Bring it down to the bottom and just pull it nicely so that that cherry is nice and tight up there. Move it around a little bit so it's a bit neater. And then just fix your ice cream, fix your cone. Once the bands come into themselves a bit better, it'll be a little bit nicer shape, but you will have to fiddle with it just a little bit. And there is our waffle cone ice cream. I'm going to pull my bands through a little bit more because they just look a bit messy there. Pull that nice and tight, tight, tight. And there it is. So for our other one, which was the one that we flipped the base, it looks like that. I want you to do the same thing. Push it flat between your fingers and just go around grabbing that top layer of, should I say, the first row of the ice cream, pulling it out so that it looks like it's frothing over, dripping over like proper ice cream. And then the same, grabbing those next rows, just perfecting them a little bit more, untangling them a little bit so that you can see those teardrops going around. This top one I single banded to close it to make it look a little bit puffier. And it won't look as tall because it doesn't have as many double bands in it. So then you can just reach in through the bottom or off to the side somewhere, grab that top band that we used to close it, pull it through, and you can hide that inside the ice cream. Ruffle your bands around a bit more. And there you have it. So that one still could use a little bit more perfecting. But there's the two that we have just made. There's the two previously that I have fiddled with a little bit more. So there you go, guys. There's my micro ice creams. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like, subscribe, find me on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, let me know what you thought. I'd love to see some. Share them to me and hashtag Vixxstarr. See you next time.